Hey everybody, it's Dr. Sally here, and this is Headspace for the Workplace. It's a podcast where we learn how to cultivate vibrant and psychologically safe and healthy workplaces. Each week, I'm joined by an international expert who's helping us up your game. And today is no exception. I've got my friend David Nix here with me, and he and I have gone back, actually, I don't know, David, about a decade at least, I think. We met through the EAP world. EAP, you ask? What is that? Employee Assistance Program. And today we are going to talk about what to look for in a good EAP and why does this matter. David's been in this field a long time. He's got a lot of cool insights. David, say hi.
Hello, everybody. And Sally, thank you for having me today. I'm very excited to be with you and get to talk about my profession, employee assistance. I absolutely kind of fell into it, but it's something that I've learned to love and something that I really just enjoy doing and helping employees get better and be productive and be safe.
Yes, it's so important. And it's such an incredible benefit that sometimes people don't know anything about, including the people signing up for the benefit. So that's what we're going to tackle today. But before we get into that, what are the two main takeaways that people are going to learn today?
All right. So today they're going to walk away with tip number one, 3 hard questions to ask your EAP to know if you have a quality EAP. Number 2, how to use people with lived experience to help your EAP have credibility within your workplace.
Excellent. All right. Those are really juicy. Very, very cool. All right. Before we unpack those, let's learn a little bit more about you. You serve the EAP, the Employee Assistance Program, Employee Assistance Professional community in a number of ways. Tell us a little bit about how you serve.
Sure. So I manage a employee assistance program for a major oil and gas company. In addition to that, I serve on the board of directors for the Employee Assistance Professionals Association, which is a large trade organization for the employee assistance field. Also, I am the president of the Employee Assistance Roundtable, which is a group of internal EAP managers that meet and get together and talk about how we provide quality services to our employees around the world.
Okay, that's not a small plate of responsibilities, but I also know what your interesting fun fact is that you've added onto that plate. So share with the rest of the group. What is something that people find surprising when they learn it about you that doesn't necessarily jive with your official job title?
Yep. So one of my big hobbies is to officiate high school football. I absolutely love the game of football and started about 26 years ago. Officiating high school football, and I do it in the great state of Texas, where football is a big deal. And I even got to do the state championship game a few years back at AT&T Stadium with 25,000 fans. Not all of them were sure I was doing a great job, but I actually really, really enjoy getting to officiate high school football and being part of that game.
You have some thick skin, my friend. I'm not sure there's many people that would sign up for that, but thank you for the service in that realm as well. All right, let's dig into tip number 1. What are the 3 hard questions, and why do people need 3 hard questions for the EAP? What's going on with the EAPs?
Yeah, I've heard people say that EAP is broken or that it's not good, and I think we kind of got to a bad place in EAP. Quite frankly, when some of the programs got outsourced and we kind of had this, like, who can do this cheapest? And anytime you try to do something cheap, it turns into something that's not that great. And, in its ugliest form, it's like a 1-800 number and you call it and no one really helps you. And they refer you to counselors that don't even exist and you don't even get any help. And
there's actually a name for that, right? Ghost EAPs. Am I right?
That's ghost like EAPs.
Yeah. The provider list does not actually exist. It's insane to me.
Yeah. And it's a shame because people are reaching out in the moment of need and they want help and it's not there. But that's what happens sometimes in markets as they mature and, we kind of, who can do this the cheapest? And so I think it's really important that we do ask, is this, you can call almost anything an EAP. So is this a quality EAP? I like to use the example of the coffee. For a long time, coffee used to be like 33 cents and who can make the cheapest cup of coffee? And then finally some people came in and said, you know what? maybe the cheapest isn't best. Maybe having a good, decent cup of coffee would be a lot better than having a cheap cup of coffee.
And now people
Uh,
don't blink an eye for spending $10 on a cup of coffee.
yeah, $9, $10 for a coffee. Of course, I would pay that rather than eating than drinking a 33-cent cup of coffee because you knew what you were going to get with the 33-cent cup of coffee. So I'm actually hoping that's where we're going as an industry in the EAP world, is that we're going to come back in and say, no, 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 we don't want the cheapest thing out there. We actually want something that's good quality. So I think that's where I'm coming in with, how do I figure out what a good EAP is? I think the first most basic question is, are they actually going to serve my people when someone calls in? Is it Are they going to talk to a professional that can actually evaluate what's going on? Most EAPs, you are talking to a master's level trained clinician who can help evaluate. Really, to me, that's the promise of an EAP. They're going to help you evaluate what is going on. One of the cool things about my job is I never know from day to day. One time someone's calling me about their pet dying and how they're going to talk to their 8-year-old daughter about a pet dying. Okay, we can do that. We can have a conversation about that. The next day, though, it might be schizophrenia, it might be bipolar disorder, it might be eating disorder. That's a life-threatening, mental health crisis. All of that. If you're an EAP professional, you're doing both of those things. And the organizational work, helping organizations set up the organization in a way that is conducive to good mental health and substance use. Really the whole field got its start with substance use disorder and helping people with substance use disorder get to the right treatment and get into recovery. And so really a beautiful concept. So the first one, are they actually going to serve my people? Are they going to get them to the right place? The helping the leaders, and I was kind of alluding to that just before. Is the EAP that I have, is it really going to serve the whole organization? Is it going to serve the leadership? Quite often, when a leader has an employee in crisis that's going through a hard time, they're not equipped. They don't know the ins and outs of the laws. They don't know the ins and outs of how to help somebody. They don't know what they can ask, what they can't ask. So how to intervene in those situations in a legal, respectful, helpful way is so important. And it's not a skill set that comes naturally, and they don't teach that in business school.
That's
So
right.
having them have the opportunity to consult with a mental health professional who understands the landscape and understands how to intervene in those situations, I think is super critical. And a good EAP provides that for organizations. And the third one, I think, is really promoting mental well-being, because we can, of course, we can help all the people after they're already in crisis. But I think a really good EAP is one that is helping people before they get to crisis, helping your organization have the safeguards in place, be thinking about, how we talk about mental health, how we talk about mental well-being, how we take breaks, how we prevent burnout, all of those things where a mental health professional can help your organization get better at having a mentally well workplace. So those are my three areas where I think ask those questions. Is my EAP doing this for me? Are they capable of doing this for me? It should be a lot more than a 1-800 number on the wall that no one calls.
Absolutely. And again, sometimes people don't know what they don't know. They ask somebody to go do a resource search and find, a reasonably low cost thing. They don't even know what to ask when they're trying to get the new vendor on. So question number one, just to repeat, how are you going to serve my people? And I even have my partners go kick the tires, do some secret shopper work, because that's how you're really going to know how responsive are they, what kind of attitude do they have with you, because it's very representative of the organization as a whole. Number two, how are you going to support the organizational piece? Do you have manager support that they can call to get guidance on, I have no idea how to start this conversation, I have no idea what I'm doing? Yeah, we got you. Like, how reassuring is that for the people who, like, this isn't my lane, we make widgets, or we do this other thing, I'm an engineer, I don't know what we're doing over here, we got you. Like, so reassuring. And then the last one, let's get upstream from the crisis. I think everybody can say hallelujah to that, including the EAP people. Let's get in front of this. What do we need to put in place so that we can catch it as it's emerging, or even prevent it from happening in the first place? And a good EAP will have lots of tools to help you with that. All right, let's unpack number two. People with lived experience can help EAP messages land with credibility. What did you mean by that? That seems novel to me.
Well, in my 25 years, I have found that it's so critical to find your allies within the organization, where I go where the energy takes me. And a lot of times, not everybody wants to hear from the mental health guy. When the EAP guy shows up, they're like, who is that?
Not
But
me.
having some
I'm
people,
good.
yeah, I'm good. And like some people don't even want to talk to me. Most of the people embrace me, and I've had a great experience overall. But I really found that people with lived experience get it. They understand why this is important. And sometimes it's someone in their family that has experienced a mental health situation. Unfortunately, we've had people that have lost family members to suicide or substance use or other things related to mental health. And, they have such compassion for other people and such a desire to make sure that people get the resources that they need. So they've been some of our greatest champions within the organization. So I actually love my folks with lived experience. Sometimes I'm amazed at how a little intervention can have such a huge impact on somebody. I had a person with some lived experience. She actually lost her daughter to suicide at one point, and I I went back to her at years later because she said, "Dave, I can't. Having you call me helped me so much." And I said, what did I say? What did I do that was helpful? Because I was really like genuinely curious. And she was like, I don't know what you said, but I knew you were there. And I knew that my EAP reached out to me and helped me through that crisis. And I just knew that somebody had my back and was going to help me, that understood and was going to help me navigate whatever I needed to navigate to make this okay. And that just made a huge difference for her. So those are the times where the EAP can show up and really make a difference in an employee's life.
Oh, what a beautiful sentiment. Yeah, I have no idea what you said. It was more the feeling I got that my workplace cared enough and you all cared enough in my time of need that you showed up in such an authentic way. That's what mattered the most. And when you said that, I actually flashed back. I'm like, oh my gosh. I remember after my brother died, this very poignant moment with my vice president. He said nothing. He just took my hand, my face in his hands, and he looked me in the eyes, and that was it. I'm going to cry just remembering it because sometimes the biggest thing you're doing is not necessarily the words coming out of your mouth, and the EAP can help facilitate that as well for people like we have no idea how to support the bereaved here. We got you, we got you. So awesome, and the idea of lived experience champions, that's throughout your organization. It could be
Yeah.
your C-suite leaders, it could be your managers, it could be your HR people. There's just about everybody's got some lived experience story if we're really honest about it. And it's whether or not they feel comfortable sharing, which is a very fair question. But there's a lot of people these days that are coming out proud, like, yeah, I'm a person
Yeah.
in long-term recovery, and I think it's one of the most important things I've ever done in my life. Let me help others with this information. So finding
Yeah.
the people that are ready to share, it really helps. Go ahead.
Yeah. And I love it when people do that. A lot of times I'll go to a job site and I'm talking to, all the employees and try to tell them, hey, how great this benefit is. And um, it always is so helpful, especially when I have a leader. And I would say probably almost half the time I'll have a leader just
Mhm.
chime in and go, and you know what? 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I was going through a divorce or I was going through a problem in my family, and these guys really helped me out. Wow, I can't buy a better advertisement than that for our program. There's no way, there's nothing that I can say that's going to make it more meaningful than having someone that they trust, someone that they know, someone who has done well and flourished in the organization come out and say, I use this. It didn't hurt my career. They helped me out. It was a good experience for me. It's okay to use these guys.
That's right. And I have a couple of through lines throughout my entire podcast that I repeat over and over again so people don't miss the message. And one of them is lived experience matters. It matters across a whole bunch of things. In this case, it matters with credibility of the resource. And my other through line is that leaders got to go first. If you expect a certain type of culture, if you expect a certain type of behavior, expect a certain type of norm, you need to model that and authentically be able to talk about that. And it doesn't mean you have to share all of the things, but it means you need to show some comfort talking about struggle. And I would encourage all leaders to use their EAP, even if it's just for one session, because there is nothing better in reducing barriers than a leader says, clear my schedule on Thursday. I'm going to go to the EAP. That's it. That's all they have to
Yep.
say. because everybody needs a brush up on their mental health. Everybody does, and I'm just going to model it, and here we go. So things to think about for the audience that's weighing the pros and cons here. It's really important because if it's just like we have these resources for, those troubled people, then who wants to be the troubled people? I want to
Yeah.
aspire to positions of leadership so I'm going to do what the leaders are going to do. So that really matters. So David, I'm
Yeah.
going to do
And I mentioned it.
go ahead.
I mentioned that I use my EAP because I get EAP sessions too. We have a hybrid program. So I'm the internal, we have external. And I have no problem saying I use my EAP sessions.
That's perfect. That's right. I'm not saying it flippantly. We all need the EAP. Whether it's like building up resilience before bad things happen, dealing with the bad things that happened a long time ago that are shaping the patterns in our life that we want to get rid of, or really dealing with the trauma that's right in front of us. So there's all kinds of reasons that build life skills and relationship skills that we could all benefit from. So not to overwhelm your inbox with new appointment requests, but everybody can benefit. It is true. So I'm going to go back into a quick recap, and then I want to come back to you for your final thoughts. So again, if you're just tuning in or tuning back in, I'm here with David Nix. He is the EAP director for a large oil and gas company and has many other leadership roles in the EAP, Employee Assistance Professionals community. And we're talking about the fact that EAPs differ. And just because you have one doesn't mean it's a good one. So we have these 3 hard questions you can ask. And I want to empower all of you who have EAPs to realize you are the consumer of this service, which means you get to ask hard questions. You get to fire your vendor. You get to, solicit information about impact and accessibility and all those things because you are purchasing a service that you have some control over. Is it a good one or not? And so we have these 3 questions. Of course, there's many more that you can ask. We're going to give you an opportunity to connect with David later if you want to dig into that. And then the second piece is to partner with people with lived experience who have solid recovery and are ready to model that for people, saying, of course, these kinds of supports help. I'm a case example of it. That is going to be one of the best things you can do to, really make your resources feel trustworthy, incredible, and accessible. So, David, what is one thing you want to make sure that our audience does not miss today?
I think the thing we really want people to walk away with is my EAP really going to show up when I need them? A lot of times we don't know when that's going to happen, but when the moment comes and someone's in crisis, it can literally be life or death. It can literally change your company's trajectory and how you respond in those really tough moments. And do you
That's
have
not
the
when you
partner
want to
that
be
you need?
figuring it out. Yeah, that's not when you
No.
want to be figuring out, is my EAP responsive or not, is when there's a big crisis going down. You want to have that high trust they're going to show up for you when you need it most. David, thank you so much for this conversation, for your leadership, for your deep care for people, and for the way you're moving this whole thing forward, and not just with your company, but with the nation. I really valued our friendship, and I'm so proud to know you. So thank you for coming on the podcast and sharing this with everybody.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Sally.
Welcome. Thank you too for our amazing team behind the scenes here, for David and Elias and Stacy and Chase. Of course, it takes a village to pull something like this together. So lots of folks helping us out here. And thank you to you, the listeners, for making this a priority in your day, for continuing to invest your time and your efforts and your intention into upping your game and making mental health initiatives better where you work. So in closing, working minds work better together. There's so much we can learn from each other to improve well-being in our workplace. Until we meet again, take care.